Hello, it's Tabatha Fro here.
And
Froless.
Yes. But still
I have to
natural
do this.
beauty.
I have to do
Yeah.
this, Britt, because it's riding season. Everybody who rides bikes knows it's riding season. You gotta get that hair braided. You can't be out here
Exactly.
with helmet hair.
Hot girl riding. That's your hot girl. Yes.
Okay, so today we're gonna jump right into it because this will be interesting. I have to put a disclaimer. Britt already on call Ma and told her this is gonna be a hot one.
Another one.
You,
Yes.
you might want to get your earmuffs ready.
Tell the kids gone now. Outside, give them a popsicle. Tell them
Wow.
bye-bye.
Go on now. Okay, so our Bible verse comes from Matthew 7:6, the New International Version. Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces.
Gotta keep that sacred close to the heart, to the home. What's sacred? That sacred flower. Amen.
Let me just tell you something, Britt. Typically, when I am talking about intercourse, sex, I use pretty couple of choice words. I might use Tom, emphasis on Dick, and Harry.
Okay, I see you.
Can't use Dick's name today.
Okay,
Can't throw it out there like that.
okay.
My good Christian folks and my mama is listening. So I'm just gonna use that thing.
Okay. That thing or that wang. Amen.
Amen. And then your eyes wandered back around. Kind of like back in your head, Britt.
Why you so silly? But yes, Lord.
Okay, so there are going to be some topics that Britt and I are going to touch on. Prior to Britt and I recording, we often talk about so many things, and when we converse and we say, this is the topic, we talked about this because there's so many things that go into sexual relationships, choosing someone who you want to be intimate with. And as you grow older, you realize that that choice should not be taken lightly.
Sure.
I told Britt that I have only been with a few guys, 2 hands. I still got fingers left. And she was like, oh, that's interesting. Well, part of it is interesting because I was married before for a very long time, almost 20 years. Actually, it was 20 years. So having my daughter young, then getting married young, kept me from a lot of shenanigans. Had to calm that thing down. But I do say that, yes, I do say that having been married for a long time and growing up in my mind, because a lot of times, even though you get married, you still don't grow in your mind. You don't have that time to nurture your emotions, your feelings, or whatever. I started looking around, especially having a daughter. What do I want to teach my daughter about being intimate with someone? Although I am a Christian and I do believe in very Christian values, I personally, this is just me, it is not anybody else, I personally don't really think it's too much wrong with having sex before marriage. That's just me. Y'all, I know the other Christians probably gonna scald me in a bath of that holy water, but that's just me, Britt. And one of the things that I have learned You don't want to buy that
Sitting
car
back and
without
sitting
driving
there,
it.
trying to return it if you. I'm trying to tell you, boy, what's the return policy? Sorry, go ahead.
Woo! Jesus, help me. Help me tread
No,
lightly, Lord.
yes, God.
But
That's the easiest return.
one of the things, yes, one one of the things I did think about is the fact that as I grew older, like I was telling you the other day, I started thinking to myself, if I'm out here giving myself away, I am not under any delusion that emotions are not tied with it. So if I am doing this and I realize that emotions are tied with it, because let's just be real frank. We do it 2 times. We go together.
You mine.
You,
Oh, Lord.
you, sir. We in a relationship.
Yeah. What time you coming
And
back?
I'm being real.
I'm cooking tonight.
And don't call me and don't pick up that phone. This relationship is over. But the relationship is over and I done gave you something that I hold precious to me. Maybe many people don't hold it precious to them, but I hold it precious to me. And I started holding it precious to myself when I got a divorce. When I got a divorce, that was the first time that I was actually really out here in these streets saying, let me see what's going on out here. Girl, it ain't nothing going on. It ain't nothing going on in these streets. So again, I go back to, I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing to myself? But I'm not getting anything out of this. Let me just sit back for a minute and make someone understand me. See what makes me tick. And if they're not interested in that, then they're not interested in the total package that comes with this. And once I started doing that, my mindset was so much better. I'm not casting my pearls to swines. I'm really holding it. I'm closing them legs. What you got, Britt? Coming from the young side of things. Let's hear it.
Whoo, girl. So my mom, you, and a couple of my older friends, there's that difference between them and you guys getting married early. In my age group, not so much. Some of us, yeah, but a lot of me and my friends have not been married, have been in long-term relationships here and there. But the fact that being married it does put you to, let me see, how can I say it? It locks that thing down, okay? And you only giving it to your husband. You're only giving it to one person. So when you've gotten married at a young age, you haven't, in my opinion, really had a chance to explore other things that are out there, explore yourself, explore your body. I mean, you can. I'm not saying it's not possible because you get married young. But I'm 36 now, have not been married. I had a good while to express myself, find myself. I'm very thankful that I didn't get married early because I thought I wanted to be married around the age of 24, 25. And I'm glad that I didn't because I was able to explore myself more, my sexuality, my body. And granted, yes, I do hold it precious to me. I had me some fun and I ain't regretting it at all. I think there's a difference. There's so many layers to this conversation and discussion, but keeping it, kind of centered. I think a woman who knows herself and who's, out in these streets doing what she wants, she owns her body and she owns her sacred flower. I think she can still hold it precious to a certain degree. Yeah. But she can own it. She can own it. I just feel like know yourself, know your body. Young women, I think this is very important for who are still exploring, or who are still figuring it out, and how important it is to hold it precious to the degree of you don't want to attach yourself to the wrong man or the wrong woman or the person who, does not have your best interest at hand. Because when sex gets involved, to me, it becomes spiritual. At least from what I've learned here in the last 10 years, in my early 20s, and I ain't know nothing about this, just woo, whatever. But when I started to learn the spiritual ties to sexuality, that's when I kind of started bringing it on back in the house, up on the porch first, and then back on in the house behind the screen door, and really vetting who I was giving it out to. Now, granted, I still had some boogers that probably shouldn't have got it, but I had my own reasons for, wanting to share it. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of tied to my understandings and my ideals of what sex means and, what it can do for me. So I'm very with you on holding it precious and holding it sacred. But I really do appreciate the different dynamic between a woman who's been married since an early age and some of us who have not been, and that difference between how we get to explore that, so yeah.
I love it, Britt. Yeah. And you censored it just right. The one other thing I wanted to discuss, Britt, is when you hear people that are like, I'm doing whatever I want to do, I'm free and whatever. Then you get these same women who are crying every 2 months because some dude did not call them back. So this is where I go into, we really have emotions tied with it. So just see, are you doing it out of love? Are you doing it out of desire?
What is your intention? Yes.
And so the desire part is very interesting to me. One thing I did realize after getting divorced, it wasn't so much of I just really wanted to just do it with somebody else. It was just a feeling of wanting to be desired.
Got you. That's honest.
And sometimes people never lose that feeling of wanting to be desired. And when you have that over and over and over again, you probably need to go and talk to somebody because you are having an issue at that point. You shouldn't be looking for someone else to desire you, to confirm what you are on the inside. Those things come from you. So take, like you said, come back up on the porch, shut that screen door, and look into why do I want this all the time? Why does it hold such a need and a purpose for me? Me personally, like I go back to, I'm bringing back to God. Once I had that very deep relationship with Christ, He is, for me, something that keeps me in check. Because I mean, we're human. It keeps you in check. And it makes me ponder. Because when you are having intercourse, someone is entering you. You have that spirit. You are taking on that other person's emotions, everything. Yes, all of that energy. So be careful when you do that.
No, I totally agree. And again, I'm glad I've learned, the deeper meanings and connections to sex, because you think about there's a giving in and a receiving in, right? On both. So it's the idea of what are you receiving from that person and what are you giving? And so the intentionality is really important because if you can do some magical things with sex. And you also, the intentionality is important because if you're intentional about knowing who you are, what feeds you, and like you said, why I'm wanting to have it so much, if you're that type of woman, or why it's important to me in the first place, what that connection means to me, what am I getting out of this? If you're intentional about that, then I think that kind of slows down those opportunities for you to get a booger or a Tyrone or whoever, you know what I'm saying? You're crying every 2 weeks because you know what you're going in for. And so for me personally, I've always, when I was a wild child, wild girl, I think I've always owned it. I wasn't one of those women who was crying every 2 weeks or every month or whatever, when I was having my dealings and things like that, because I knew what I wanted. I knew what I was going in for. Either we was going to be cool or we not, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just knew what I was on. So to me, if you didn't call back, which really wasn't that's not what happened for me, because people I connected with tended to be people I was cool with or had known or whatever and built some relationship with. But
you looking at the phone like, stop calling me.
It was just like, hey, we out here, we having a good time. It is what it is. And so I just, and I'm gonna be frank right now. Like, for me, I know I like sex. I knew it since a young age, and before I knew what sex felt like, I was very curious. So I think, again, that power of knowing yourself and knowing where your desires come from is so key too, because I think that helps you to choose more accurately. You know what I'm saying? And take your time and pair up with the right person who has the right intentions as well, even if it's not for a relationship, even if we're not coming together to say we're going to be together. But if we're going to be intimate, okay, what are we being intimate for? What are we getting out of this? Because we know that feeling and that high, it go away after about a couple minutes after it happened. You know what I'm saying? So what am I getting out of this? What is it feeding me? What is it fueling inside of me? That's where my come from is at this point. Well, not now because I have a relationship, but if I was still out there in them streets, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But shoot, really in your own relationship too, what is it fueling and feeding? I think that's the thing as well, even if you're married. Mm-hmm.
And I know we talked a lot about women or whatever, but I'm telling you that I have actually had the same conversation with my boys about what is your body count? Don't be out here just taking on all this energy from all these different people that you really do not need. Everybody does not deserve your time. What y'all out here doing, moment? Hey, I do have something. It actually doesn't have anything to do with sex, but it does have something to do with a member. And I know my son is probably going to cringe about this. Britt, when he was young, he was just a little boy. I think he could have been about 9 or something like that. One of my sons, I'm not going to call him the name. He came in the room and he said, "Hey, I need your help." And I said, "Okay." So he takes me to the bathroom and I'm like, "Why are we going to the bathroom?" And he shuts the door. Now, all my kids have always been very open with me. So Britt, he pulled it out. When he pulled it out, I was like, whoa.
Wait.
I was not ready for this. Like, Shawty, you gotta tell somebody when you about to do this.
Exactly. Give me a countdown or something.
Now, he pulled it out, and mind you, it's been a very long time since I've seen this thing, because now he is 9 years old. You bathing yourself.
Right, yourself. Exactly.
Your mother is not in there in the bathroom with you while you're taking baths anymore. So this is you now. You're taking care of your own needs. Britt, he said, "I think something wrong with it." I, being a young silly mama that I am, I'm in shock, and I started giggling to myself. And he's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "You may not understand it right now, but one of these days, if you 9 and it's looking like this, you're going to make somebody very happy."
You're going to be blessing souls out here. Amen. Yes, Lord, bless them.
So I pulled it back together and I got back in mommy mode and helped him with whatever he needed to have help with. But yeah, so that's my funny, which I like to do a moment.
To make this a little mini series, because it may be a 2 or 3 parter, because I wanted to touch on, the attachments, like you said, that we can tend to have, just being careful of who you attach yourself to out here and how to break those attachments too. Very practical ways to break attachments after you've been intimate with someone who may not just have been the right person that you should have connected with on that level too. So that's something else to keep in mind, people. Just, watch who you're attaching yourself to, and,
And you know what?
Get it up out of there.
I think that can be our next episode, Britt. Watch who you attach yourself to. So
yes,
with that being said, Don't forget to like, subscribe.
Share.
Please share it. And we want to especially thank all of the people who have reached out to us personally and told us that they love this show. They love the vibe that me and Britt are giving out. They picking up what we putting down, Britt.
Hey man, and they cracking up too. You know what I'm saying? We little modern day comedians out here, but no, I really appreciate it too, y'all. Thank you so much, and I'm glad y'all are getting laughs out of this too.
Yes, 2 women from the A with something to say.
That's
Bye.
it. Come on with the rumors. Bye, y'all.